All right. Uh, Hello and welcome to Just with Tayo. And on Just with Tayo, I bring on personalities, my friends, to talk about issues and the time talk about themselves, their journey through life, and all of that. And today I'm bringing my mentor, my teacher, role model, a grandmaster in this business of broadcasting, one who taught so many of us and has been there all through this journey for us, a backbone for so many of us. And we continue to learn, continue to drink from his wealth of experience. And so, let me seek his permission to have this interaction this afternoon for the next 30 minutes. Let's gist. He's there. He's the Grandmaster himself, Mr. Olusegun Ekishola. So nice to have you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel really honored to be with you today. How are you doing?
I'm okay, sir. I'm great, sir. Still doing the business that you taught us, so many of us. And I will not be jesting with you alone. One other person that is also joining this discussion is one of the people that you trained from way back, and she's joining all the way from Abuja. Say hello.
Hi. Wow.
It's a pleasure to
All right.
gist with you this morning.
Oh, gee, how you doing?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you.
So good to be with you again.
The world of technology. Way back, this wasn't available when you started out. But maybe we will start our discussion from that point. How was it? How did this journey into broadcasting like? And is this what you have always wanted to do and to be a broadcaster, broadcasting way back?
For me, broadcasting was an accident. I was looking for better pay because as a clerk back then, your salary as a what do they call you now? The assistant clerk was £16, 18 and 4, and the regular clerk as a clerical officer, clerical assistant, 16, 18 and 4. Clerical officer, £21 10. So I wanted to go and work in the bank. I said I wanted the bank. My dad said, no, go and meet this person at the Federal Ministry of Transport. Your position is already set. Go there and so on. Marina said no. So I was rebellious. I now sat for all kinds of tests, but it didn't happen. I always scored the highest, but they never called me. So one day, my mom came back from France, and I went to visit her in Ibadan, and I met my aunt, and she said, "You work for radio?" She said, "You'll be having 2 days off a week." But it did not even occur to me at that point that I was already having 2 days off a week, which was Saturday and Sunday. We had half a day on Saturdays, but we were free, basically, and then Sunday, today. So 2 days off. So that was how. And at £28, you cannot beat that kind of offer. So that was how I got into broadcasting in 1973. And since then, I think I just want to feel gratified that that opportunity came my way in the first place, and that I decided, even I may not have known what I was doing, but it turned out to be the right thing because somehow it felt natural for me. So thanks how it all started. And back then, it was still technologically rudimentary. There wasn't anything. OG is in Abuja. I'm here in Lagos. I don't know where you are. You could be in New York. I could be in Japan, and we are on the same page talking. So the technological advancements have now introduced some bigger opportunity to do a lot more. So that is where we are now. I think we have a chance to do more. We're talking now, we're broadcasting. And
So
this one
really wasn't
is now global.
It wasn't really about money way back then. It was you were on radio, just wanted to entertain people, just wanted to just be on radio and do what you love doing, and you kept at it for over 4 decades, and still going. Looking at broadcasting then and now, how do you say it? There wasn't money then. Somehow we have money and have so many channels. Today.
Radio was the base. Even when the British came in 1932 and they set it up, it was radio first. It was until about, I think it was after 1959, 1960, 1962, 1965, that I think television. I don't have the right data right now, but it was much later that you now had TV. So radio it was from the beginning, and well, at that time, it was basically just to demonstrate talent. That was what it was basically about. It was about entertainment and information, entertain people, inform the people. Basically, radio started in Nigeria as a kind of information providing platform to give government information to the people. Eventually, I think they now decided, listen, you cannot just be doing information, do something to attract people so that you have a lot of people to talk to. That's how we now got to the point where radio now started to transform into the medium we have now come to know it for. It used to be just simply somewhere where you could. So you had a lot of talents at the time, including people who didn't really seek out the medium, that the medium sought out. People like the street minstrel, whose main preoccupation was just to play music and dance around the streets of Lagos. And it became a phenomenon. So radio had to go look for him so that they could be relevant to their community which they were serving. So it developed as an information channel, and the other things, all things were now added gradually. At that time, no money because, well, it wasn't seen as much as anything. Most people wanted to be either a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor. Nobody thought journalists were anything. They were just like the dregs of society, kind of. And at that time, too, what were they? They were drinking. You see them in beer parlor and stuff like that. That was what it was like. People with information at the tips of their fingers, very intelligent people, but society did not reckon with them at that time. So they were not considered to be anything. But now has happened, just like if you look at the music scene as well, the people that did all the work, most of them didn't make how much money did, let's say, SF Olowokere make? How much money did Dan Maraya Jos make? how much money did Celestine Oku make? How much money did Roy Chicago, all of those musicians, how much money did they make from music? But look at the Jumole and stuff like that. And what is it? How long will such a music? Right now, yes, that is the language of the moment. What is the durability of that phenomenon? How long will it just fizzle out, just like some of the ones that came before it? But that is what is making a lot of money now for people who most people may consider not to be that much talented, but it is their era where they're now making bundles of money from enjoying themselves and just creating. You remember how Sorosuke became a major thing that everybody just picked up, and it became, yeah, Sorosuke, and so on. So I don't know. I think the current situation of radio is such that it has now developed to the point where a lot of professionals have embraced it, not necessarily people who studied mass communication. So a lot of people just joined in. And yes, the platform is so elastic, can take engineers, because engineers can come and talk about engineering issues. It can take economists. Economists can come and talk about economic issues. It can take medical doctors. They can come in and talk about health issues. So it's a very big platform. And even as it is, I'm not sure we have even touched it yet. I think it's just, we're still at the early stages of radio development in this country.
Well, many people have opined that the fact that you have so many non-professionals having access to radio licenses and setting up radio stations and giving room to all comers, so to say. You just said something now that many people can join, many people are joining. And when you say that the quality of content and the quality of presentation and the quality of individuals that go on air have really dropped over the past 4 or 5 decades that you've been on. You want to look at the quality then and the quality now, especially in the Nigeria system.
Yeah, Nigerian system, British system, American system. Going to any society, it is a reflection of that society. The Nigerian situation is such that because there is a breakdown in the basic unit of society, which is the family. So what you are now seeing on radio is a reflection of what the society has become. It is a reflection of how we organize as a society. People are not reflecting the original way of life of our people. In the early days, there was a lot of discipline in our society. You don't want your neighbor or anybody that knows you, that can identify you, to find you in something untoward, something bad. But right now, people do things, you know, who cares? People just do what they like now. And because they do that, that somehow is spilling over into every other thing. Radio is a cultural medium. It reflects the culture. What is our culture for now? Our culture now is such that younger people have a different cultural base, different outlook from some of our ancient mariners. So they say, you are too old, go and sit down. The new thing now is that we go like this. This is how we go. So you have Orimiwe Lagimo music. Whereas when we were young, when we were Sisi, what we were hearing were philosophical songs, songs that when you listen, they could help you process some things that you are experiencing. They could help you pass through some difficult moments. So you find musicians talking about historical events, how we changed from the left side of the road to driving on the right side of the road, how the currency was changed from pounds and shillings and pence to naira and kobo, how the you remember Ayinla Omowura's song on house rent. I think
Yeah.
Owoleko or something. You know, so they are in their own right troubadours. They reflect the society, and when they sing, sometimes when you listen to some of the old tunes that they did, by the time we get to the current artists, current musicians, that will also be a reflection of the current historical situation in Nigeria. There was a time they started the rap music, hip hop. Hip hop is you have to say it in a particular way. When they started hip hop in the United States, that was a reflection of the young black people's experience in society, where they have run-ins with the police, where a lot of people got into trouble, and where families got into challenges, which in the end now becomes something that completely upends people's lives. People now began to have single parent family, blah, blah, blah. We are beginning to embrace all of those here to now. And by the time you now do a kind of analysis of the kind of music of this era, that's what you're going to find in there. But we could also use it to do some other things.
All right, we have joining us some of your boys, I would say, people that passed through you. Tokes Niger is joining from the UK, and it says, "Good to see you, Grandmaster." I tuned in Europa, Abuja. I thought you were on radio until I realized you were on Facebook. I always appreciate training sessions at OGBC Bara 1992, 1993. Let me welcome Tokes. Hi.
Oh, hello, Brazuma. Thank you very much for coming up with such a big thing. And I want to say thank you very much to the Grandmaster, Mr. Kishola. I will say...
Hello, Tokes.
No, I think it has to do with...
Okay. I think the network has...
got frozen.
The network. Okay, so we'll get back to Tokes when his network improves. And okay, I thought I had Boyega show today somewhere. Tokes, are you back?
No, he's not back. Boyega was the one with the beard.
Yeah, Boyega was the one with the beard.
I think his phone also shut down. Yeah. Okay, Tokes is back now.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome back.
Oh, sorry.
Tokes, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, the signal just decided to... Yeah.
Let's go back to some 27 years ago, the advent of private initiative in broadcasting. You left all of possibly the fame, you left the, what they call certainty way back then. You are at the peak of your career in OGBC, and then you left all of that and ventured into private broadcasting, radio. Many people must have looked at you at that time and felt, wow, why were you taking such a big risk? 27 years after, maybe I should go back and say, okay, what was the motivation then? Did you weigh the risk 27 years ago? Tokes, nice to have you back.
Yeah, it's good.
The network wasn't really good.
Yeah,
but just let the Grandmaster answer the question, and then we'll come back to you to take your own contribution and question.
All right.
Oh, I thought you were asking Tokes. So
no, I was asking you.
27 years ago, we decided to go into private broadcasting. Yeah, it was an historical moment. At that time, if you remember very well, we kind of upset the arrangement in FM broadcasting in Nigeria through the little we were doing in Abeokuta on the state FM radio station. And from there, we became, we got into the attention of the world. And so we became the center of focus. So they came to us and said, hey, can you come over here? It was very risky. I mean, just leaving government. I remember my cousin, that's the first daughter of the first civilian governor of Ogun State. She said, that is, don't be the first to, don't let them use you as the guinea pig now. Why don't you stay in this place? My uncle said, well, there's room on television. I said I didn't like television. I want radio. I don't want to be recognized. I don't want people to know me. I prefer to, you know, do my thing. And radio was good. Now, this is one of the things now. You can now do radio on TV. We are on TV now. So we're supposed to be doing radio. So basically, what is happening is that we had this challenge, and the blood of youth took over, and we decided, let's go do it. I mean, we should be able to do it. So that when we were comatose for almost 2 years, we were lying on our bellies and we went through the challenges. What the Yorubas will say, what a child loves to eat doesn't cause him stomach upset. So we had to stay there. And eventually we got the go ahead, which was in September of 94. Well, and I believe that I don't think there are any regrets. It was a very great opportunity to do things. Nobody gave the chance of the possibility of even being allowed any kind of free hand. Everybody thought, no, they're just going to be playing music. They won't allow them to do news, no serious programs, and so on. We planned for everything, if you remember, Ambrose. And by the time we now went on air, we were still monitored for months and months. If you remember very well, people were thinking, these people will go and cause trouble in this town, and so on. But thank God today, because of whatever we might have done right at that time, the platform was now thrown open to more players. Now we now have quite a bit of population in the field, which was before nobody thought that was possible. But now we have, in Lagos alone, I'm sure it's almost 80 to 90 privately owned radio stations operating in the Lagos area. I think it's about between 70 and 90. I don't have the correct, because one of the problems with the data in Nigeria is you don't have real data, no reliable data. But in Lagos area alone.
All right, let me bring in the Tokes at this point. Tokes, you happen to be one of his students.
Yeah.
That passed through him. Is there anything you want to share or a question you want to ask him?
Well, actually, the funniest thing, he answered the question I think about 3 minutes ago. I wanted to ask him why he and Femi Showolu, the Wongi, why they never went on TV. They had one of the greatest voices, you would say, yeah, you've ever heard on radio. And then you expected, like, they should have been on OGTV or maybe LTV then. But like all of them just decided to like hide behind the radio. They're good-looking men. Everybody wanted to like be near them, be their friend. But like the question has always been in my head over the years that how come these people never went on radio? Well, Femi Showolu gave me an answer, but like Mr. Kishola has been able to answer the question as well. So it's like I won't be able to ask that question anymore. But I also
No,
want to
no,
talk
please go
about.
ahead.
Oh yeah,
Please,
because maybe you still want to like talk more about it. Like
I
you
will.
and Femi Showolu were the best on radio then. Maybe Mani Onomono in Lagos, but it's like you all ran away from TV then. Was that something scaring all of you then?
No, it's the question of privacy, being able
Okay.
to live normally. If
Hmm.
you look at people who are on television, they live a kind of make believe life. They have to appear perfect on screen. And even if they were going through the worst kind of experience, it has to be off their face. They need to be able to come there and say, "Good evening. Here is the news," and like nothing happened. The same thing on radio, but
Yeah.
on radio there's not that much pressure. That is one. Two, I had uh, uh, should I say now? My mom was a journalist.
Yeah.
My mom worked from Daily Service, Daily Times, you know. So I think she worked in the Tribune too. So she warned me that don't be going to Buka with everybody, any person that you see. Don't just go and just be, drinking beer and eating everywhere, because soon you will lose all that. The glitz will go away,
Yeah.
and then you made a mistake. You are young. You go and jump. The Yorubas will say "Ombe." You go and jump, and then you go beyond where you're supposed to jump to. So that kept me grounded from the very beginning. So when
Yeah.
I was asked whether I was part of the planning team that planned OGTV.
Yeah.
I was part of that team. We designed OGTV. I was part of it. And when I was asked if I'd like to go there, I said no. I prefer to stay on the radio.
Hmm.
One thing is right now, I can stop by and buy corn without getting into trouble. I can stand roadside and hail a marwa. Nobody would know it's me. But just imagine that I am Ambrose Shomide now that is on television all the time, or some of my other colleagues and friends. So the moment you stand by the roadside, somebody might say, "Ah, this guy is in trouble. Where is his car? He doesn't have car again."
Yeah.
Whereas I can still, move around normally, like a
Hmm.
normal person. That is me. I'd like to be me to now pretend,
Hmm.
because you have to have your game face on all the
Yeah.
time, because you don't know who was looking at you or who wasn't. And then it is a very short jump from there to now begin to live that kind of fake lifestyle. It's very easy. So if you look at some of the people, some of them were able to handle it very well. But if you look at some, they were
Yeah.
not able to handle it, and they got into trouble in the process. And it's happening again to Nollywood now. You see a lot of Nollywood people, they want to, because they appear in a flamboyant style in some of their movies. They wear big gowns. They live. You see them. They're always living in fantastic places, and so on. But in reality, they may not even have the wherewithal to afford a one-room compartment
Hmm.
anywhere. But in order not to look bad, they now
Yeah.
start to get into stuff. So I think, well, some people are able to handle it well. I don't think I would have been able to handle it
Uh,
very well. Maybe I would have. I don't know.
Yeah, I just quickly want to say something about what you just said. I remember when I was at OGTV, I was also doing my first degree at Unilag then. I remember some of my classmates would tell me that, oh yeah, we saw you last night, maybe Monday in Lagos, we were in class, and then they were like, oh, last night we saw you doing the news with your agbada and everything, that would you believe my parents never believed that they will tell me that their parents never believed I was in their class. They were like, "Oh, you mean your lecturer, that guy is your lecturer?" Because they just couldn't believe I was a
Yes,
student with them. And then even got
yes,
to a stage, some of them will say like, "You look like, oh yeah, there is a limousine outside waiting to take you back to Lagos." And I will tell you something, I didn't even have a car then. I used to like go to the car park the following morning to rush back to Lagos, to the University of Lagos. And a lot of people ask me the same question: how were you able to cope? You had no car. You had to like be in the bus with people. You had to like, you're still an undergraduate and you're on TV. You're friends with governors. And I said, well, for me, I think it's always been like that. I just loved it. It's just a passion. I don't care whether I had a car or whatever. I just want to be on radio or on TV and do my thing. But a lot of people just couldn't cope with a glamour. Even up to now, I tell people, don't ever call me a celebrity. I'm not one. I'm just like any other person. And all the 11 years I spent at OGTV, I will tell you something. Everybody wanted me to be at their parties. I can tell you I've been to 3 parties all my stay at OGTV in Abeokuta. And then I think one of them, I was very uncomfortable. People want to know whether you eat amala, whether you drink beer. And several times, like maybe people see me like take maybe just one bottle of Gouda, maybe with someone like Femi Showolu, and they were like, "Oh my God, so you drink?" I said, "I'm a human being like you." And then people want to know who I'm dating. And I've heard about girls going home to tell people like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend on TV." We're just friends. So
yeah,
it's just, I understand where you're coming from. That is like, but for me, I must confess, they open doors because,
it
um,
does.
yeah, because it's like meeting people like former President Obasanjo, all the governors in Ogun State, even some of them saying, "Oh yeah, talks anytime you are in town, come to our house." And even my parents are like, "Oh my God." So sometimes I just like, well, it's like it has its pros and cons, but I thank God that I've been able to like been able to discipline myself, and I don't
Okay.
look down on anybody. And looking at people like you, I keep telling people like, if people like Mr. Kishola, even people like Ambrose are so humble. Even just yesterday, I was talking to someone. I said, "Oh yeah, Ambrose Shomile is like, oh, one of the it's like humility personified." It's like, I don't just get it. Where people have really changed now. All they want to do is like speak with fake accents. They want to get on radio and then look at people like Ambrose or yourself or the top people like, oh yeah, old school people. I don't get it. I don't
Let
listen to radio anymore.
me also ask the Grandmaster. Is
Yeah,
this when we were growing up, we were trained as
yeah.
and we were so proud to call ourselves presenters. But now you have OAPs. They say OAPs, and
Oh,
this discussion about
oh
OAPs who
dear.
and OAPs and who, maybe the Grandmaster will want to, because many of your generation feel somehow when they hear people saying I'm an OAP.
Yeah, you just you turn it down to the moment, just like I said. Orimi Uelagimo, that is supposed to be music, and you will. Okay, we had one of my siblings. I think it was his 60th. So he said he was going to play old school music. So we were there. We were enjoying it because it brought memories. Now, some young people there, they just sat down, they were looking at us. "Oh, what is wrong with these people? Is this music?" So one of them now went to the DJ and now started the Orimiwu Elagibon type of music. And the floor was full. Said, "Wait a minute. What we have been playing meant nothing to you guys." They said, "No, that's not music. This is the thing." So it's a generational thing. Um, it will it will blow over. They too will soon become old generation because now we have. But usually, I think everything goes in circles. I think we're going to go back to the old type of music. and then come around again. Because at that time, what was, I think they call it Shaje music. Bọ́sẹ̀dé Olúwa, something, oh Bọ́sẹ̀dé ó tún bọ́sẹ̀ lọ, Èdùmàrè foríjì ẹ o. That at that time, that was risque. That was risque. Ẹ bá mi sọ fún Sisi yẹn kó má lọ. At that time, those were, you know, something of the order of all of the things. Manguru, manguru, manguru. Something is going manguru, manguru, and somebody is running after the beat. And yes, I think it's a generational thing. I think it will shift again because what you're kind of sure of at any given point in time is that there will always be change. Things will continue to change. OAP, continue duty DCA. Now time DCA, duty continuity announcer. That was what OAP was. DCA. From DCA, it became just simply announcer. And then when I now saw OAP, I said, that's way. I want chief. Yeah. So chief, that's is a title, just like San or what else? What are all of these fantastic titles that people now love? OAP, yeah, yes. And I see people put it in their system. I am OAP. OAP. Okay.
All right. While you were in OGBC, one of the people that also ruled the airwaves on NTA then, Toyin Jaye Daramola is also watching with us and online with us and is enjoying our discussion and our interaction. And she's saying, if you're on TV, you have no hiding place. That is an agreement with your earlier submission. Now, let's look at the low moments. And because at the time, having midwifed the first privately owned radio station, you now left Nigeria. And many people, for about 2 decades or so, you are somewhat somehow of the radar. And then you were still broadcasting somehow, somewhat. You want to tell us a bit about that? And then this last 4 or 5 decades of broadcasting, what are the high moments and the low moments? Some moments that you really don't want to even talk about. Some moments you really want to really celebrate and you want people to also learn from.
The key of working in radio is the challenge, which gives you, you remember the mantra. If the building is on fire and you're reading the news, you read the news. If while you're reading the news, a snake is crawling around your leg, you read the news. We were trained, we were socialized to see it as a challenge that we must be able to manage. So, I don't think we could talk about. We had our, for instance, one of such is you remember the period between when we were shut down in January and we were eventually allowed to go back on air in August. You remember that? I think the approval to go ahead came in the middle of August. We were shut down in the middle of January. We were excited, we were all of that. We were doing the tests, we were checking how far we were being heard, we were looking at the coverage and all of that. All of a sudden, we were declared illegal and we had to stop. That period was very, very excruciating. What happened? Why would it be? Was because at that point, we left a place. And the people we left at that place, some were not very nice. they were virtually just taunting us. You see, yeah, just like I told you, my cousin said, don't let them use you as a guinea pig. We went in, we were basically guinea pigs, and then they shut us down. So some people would have said, aha, we told them. They will not, instead of sitting down somewhere, they will be jumping about, you see. So we had that psychological torture it was about 7 months. Today, it looked like everything was going to be okay. The news will come back, sorry, maybe they've asked us to try again next week. We now get more papers, do more paperwork, try to find a way to please. All of that was going with all kinds of situation, even within the immediate environment. So yeah, by 1990, I think I left in 96. I left for the US in 96. 95, we were planning on the setting up of AIT. So we went to South Africa to check out how they're doing what they're doing on Bob TV. Bob TV, crisscross. This Bia, this Bia.
Well done, sir. I have another person. I have another person with me here, sir.
Let me see the person. Hey,
Ogamisa. Ogamisa. Ogamisa.
Wow. This pepper soup now. Wow. Give me some of it too. This pepper soup I'm looking for. So good to see you, man. Wow. How's the family? Yeah. So we had all of that at the time. By the time I left in 96 and I got to the US, it is always better when you go in young. When you go in as a old cargo, then it becomes a little bit more difficult to get into the system. It's like a conveyor belt system. If you have not been in it as a kid growing up, just the same thing. If you don't have some of our support base, include our former classmates in elementary school, in secondary school, at the university level, those are the people, those are our networks. So by the time you don't have any of those, it means you'll be having extra challenges within the environment. When there was a radio station in Minneapolis, by the time I got there, I had friends already in there. Stagali was there, if you remember Stagali. He was working with an all-volunteers radio station, KFAI, Minneapolis. So every member of the staff, except 2 people, were volunteers. Just have the manager and the head of news. Everybody else, no pay. If you decide to go into mainstream media, what will knock you out is your accent. They say you have an accent. So you are thinking you're speaking Queen's English. You're doing all the fricatives, all the labiate, you're doing all of those. And you go and you keep quiet, you expect a regular reaction, and you hear, say what? So now you're confused. Because you don't speak English. I'm supposed to be an English-speaking person. And just to throw you off, she or he comes to you with, say what? Those who went to England, I think they would have had it a little better, because you are now interacting at a level of their sophisticated people. That is, people who went to Oxford or Cambridge. those are the ones that spoke with the kind of accent that we learned using the Daniel Jones. So when you get in there, maybe, and because they're used to, Lagos is London is like moving into Abule Egba. You quickly jump into Abule Egba and you come back into Lagos. It's so easy. I heard that people actually look for parties in Lagos and then ship to London, and everything is okay. The amala they are going to chop in London is made in Lagos, and within a few hours the thing lands in London, still hot. So they have that advantage. In the US, no. You have to, first of all, learn to speak all the gara that you would never have allowed on the air here in Nigeria. You have to solve all of those gara now. Say, I gotta go. I gotta, So it was a little bit difficult when they need to pay you for it. Then they tell you have an accent. When you're doing it for free, no problems. They will come and say, "Oh wow, how long have you been doing this?" "Oh yeah, I've been in it." "Wow, you are good." But when it comes to now, you cannot sustain your life with working with them on the radio, unless, of course, you were born there and you had the accent and you have the flair, and you must be prepared to do some things as well. We are not there yet here, but people are getting to that point where you almost soil yourself on air just to remain relevant. So you say some really crazy things, crazy stuff on air, so that now people will now begin to look towards you as, "Oh wow, you need to listen to this person." We broadcast in a more regulated form in Nigeria here. Nigeria is a more regulated system, so that people behave in a way that will bring some kind of, should I say, honor or something to them, wherever they may be, or whoever knows them will not feel ashamed of what they're doing, compared to what you might have to do. And you have to go into a station that reflects Black culture. In Minneapolis, you had KMOJ, which was an all-Black radio station, also mostly volunteer. The coverage was very little. You had KFAI, also very little coverage spread. KFAI has segments, some Asians, some Africans, some other cultures, Italians, French, and so on. So you just have segments, Chinese. So it Hmong, the people from East Asia, people from like the Philippines and areas like that, the Hmong. So it is a lot different if you didn't start within the system and have the accent. So it's not the easiest to get in. It would be very difficult to get in. So that was, and so we tried to set up an Africa-centered radio station. I worked with some Liberians. We ended up on a TV, which is also, again, public access. That is, it's like NTA, but not like NTA. It's, you come, produce the kind of things that interest your community. So if it is African community, you do things that Africans want to listen to, and then they give you 1 hour. So you do the 1 hour and you are okay. A lot of people to Britain had an opportunity because of their background. They were able to now access the BBC system if they were lucky. Otherwise, they could go to some of the smaller stations and still be relevant. So it's different out there. We were doing stuff with Nigeria at the time. I think we were to go and cover the Grammys in Los Angeles at the time, but somehow it did not come through, so that didn't happen. But again, most of that were being done here, and that was what led to the setup of African Outlook, which was an online news. By that time, there was no high-speed internet. You only had the dial-up. You remember, You've Got Mail, African Online, the American Online, AOL. At the time, it was dial-up. Now we have high internet. We're doing live TV. We could be doing radio now, and that's where everything has been. This is where we are now. And I believe that it can only get better, because very soon, I mean, you could set up a radio station in your privacy, in the privacy of your home, and just like we're doing now, broadcast.
All right, folks. Any question or contribution at this moment?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm really not happy with the state of things in Nigeria now. Going back to talking about OAP, if you call somebody OAP, especially here in the UK, the person might nearly slap you, because OAP is like for old people, it's like for pensioners. That's what it means, and that's what the dictionary meaning is. But it's like I've tried a lot to correct people, young broadcasters, even on Facebook. I've written a lot of posts about it. Why should you be calling yourself OAPs? It's just say, yeah, you're a broadcaster or a broadcast journalist. That's prestigious, instead of saying OAPs. Who even brought about this? And then the issue of like proliferation of radio stations in Nigeria. If you look at it very well, do you want to listen to them? No, because the problem is, I remember then I used to be late to school listening to Femi Showolu on in the morning. And then I remember Mr. Kishola, till now, if you go to Abeokuta and talk to anybody that is over the age of 25 and just shout, "Oh, Lucia, son, Kishola," even the taxi drivers, they was like, "Oh my God, I remember." But do you have people like that on radio now? Because I can tell you, you can wake up at 6 a.m. and listen to radio till 6 a.m. the following morning and not be bored. Because I still have the program lineup of OGBC RN2 in my head. I still remember people, but like, do you have that now? But you see many radio stations coming up. People are not being paid well. People are not being trained. Just last week, I was talking to one of the new newscasters on Lagos TV, and I asked, "What do you do in the morning?" And he said, "Oh yeah, just listen to my newspaper review in the car." I said, "Really? And you are a newscaster on Lagos television?" And she said, "Well, I don't really know what to do." I said, "What happened to listening to the BBC World Service, Voice of America, 5 a.m., between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., and then listening to the best breakfast shows in your neighborhood?" And then he said, "Oh, yeah, I never knew that's how it's supposed to work." Well, I remember even Mr. Kila kept talking about the snake entering the studio and then you're still doing your thing. That's what he told me in 1992. And when I got to OGTV, I used to tell people then that, look, no matter, people say, yeah, you're too passionate, you're just this. I said, because I was trained by the very best in Nigeria then. And when I moved to the UK, sincerely, I got in touch with people like Tony Blackburn, the best on BBC, not just the World Service, on even on Radio 2, Radio 1. But what do we have in Nigeria when once Ambrose Mide is there as their boss, or maybe someone like me came on board, they're just like, oh yeah, who does he think he is? They're not learning. And that's not how it's supposed to be. You should have learned how someone like Ambrose started from Radio Nigeria Abeokuta, how Mr. Kishola started from Radio Nigeria Ibadan, all the journeys they took. I remember even doing voiceovers, I had to like follow Femi Showolu around. Femi Sholu was like, who is this guy? And sincerely, everybody started saying, oh my God, this is another Femi Sholu. Sometimes I'll read the news and people will be like, oh my God, you sound like John Momo today. You sound like Femi Sholu or Sheson Kishola the next day. And I said, yeah, because I learned from these people. And I remember the first time I ever spoke to Mr. John Momo, I tried to ring Ladi Akeredolu Ali during the 1999 elections. I just wanted to know what channels was doing from OGTV. And then I just heard this voice. I said, hello? I said, oh, sorry, is that you, Mr. Momo? I said, yeah, this is Mr. Momo. And I mentioned my name. I said, oh my God, I've been trying to poach you all these years. And that, sincerely, I wept because I said, for John Momo to have said that to me, and that's what I keep telling people, you have to be humble in whatever you're doing. Let people see it. And sometimes when people ask me, how do you meet all these top people? I said, I never knew Olusegun Obasanjo in my life. Mr. Oseni, Tunji Oseni just came one day and said, you know something? Baba loves your show so much. The newspaper review on OGTV, sponsored by Nigerite. He said, Baba loves when you do it on radio, on TV. And a lot of people had done it before me. But when I'm doing it like Mr. Kishola is right behind me, or Femi Sholu is right behind me. But these days, people don't care anymore, and
All right.
that's the
OAP talks.
yeah. Oh.
Let me quickly acknowledge some of our friends that have been joining us and watching with us. Jure Kuforiji is giving the thumbs up.
Oh my God.
And Jackson Remy Tabita, Ayodeji Oyekunle has also been with us. Mobolaji Oyedele Ige has been with us. And Adeolugboyega works for a radio station in Akure, Crest FM, has also been on with us and says, insightful discussion. I'm learning here. Folabi Ezekiel Omotai is also watching. And we have Oluwa Tosi, who has been with us too. Would you still want to do this again and again if you have the chance of coming back to Nigeria? In the first time, will you still want to come back to Nigeria if you had a chance of negotiating with God, after life and in another life?
That is me, right?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to come to Nigeria 1,000,000 times. 1,000,001 times. Nigeria is underrated. We do not appreciate what we have. Even now, it's difficult to explain until you have tasted life on another plane. It is okay to feel that the grass is greener on the other side. I mean, to feel that, Nigeria is where I live, where I don't need to explain my gestures. If I raise my eyebrows and you understand, people will understand what that meant. If I shook my head and you would know. But if you're outside this cultural environment, you need to explain to people, this is why I'm doing this. I remember my first birthday at my workplace in Minneapolis. So I ordered sandwiches for everybody. Normally, within the culture, it's a kind of contributory thing. That is, everybody will bring something. Somebody will bring bread, somebody will bring fish, somebody will bring water, somebody will bring Coke or any kind of beverage to share with everybody. Just a little bit, everybody brings little things, and then we all sit down and share it. That is how birthdays are celebrated among the people there. Within the Nigerian community, you will buy the beer, you will prepare the food, you will get the hall, you get everything. They just need to bring themselves, eat and drink and go. So they say you're doing a free bar, open bar. They feel, wow, is this how you do it back in Nigeria? I say, yeah. Oh my God, this is, you see, we do not appreciate some of the things that we have. It's not a bad thing. It's normal not to, if you have it in your hands, the likelihood is you will not know the value until you've dropped it, you've lost it. Any of the people that went abroad, let's say you go, legal immigration, you have your necessary qualification to be where you are, and you are qualified to do whatever you're doing. While you're there, why do Nigerians, for instance, if you go to any of the Nigerian parties, you end up in a situation where the music is not what is playing again. The music will just be in the background. The people will now be discussing what is happening in Ilesha and what is happening in Kano. And Nigeria, basically, everybody, most people are homesick. They just need this place to be a little better so that they can feel comfortable coming back in here. They want to feel free to be able to live their lives, in a normal, regular way. What is missing is the community involvement. What I mean by that is a rapprochement between the leadership and the followership, where everybody does what is expected of them. Everybody contributes their own little bit. Doesn't have to be much. Nobody drives on the wrong side of the road. Nobody goes to damage anybody's property. So, you respect people's time and people's space and all of that. That is all they would love to have. Who is going to start it? Who is going to help jumpstart that within the Nigerian government? The average Nigerian loves Nigeria. That's the passion you're seeing people display all over the place. When they say, oh my God, only in Nigeria. Why not like it happens in the UK? Why not like it happens in Jamaica? Why not like it happens in Malaysia? It is just a wish to have a better country so that they can come in here and feel safe, so that if anything happens, they can also just pick up the phone and dial 911 so that they can get help. If it is health related, if it is security related, you understand. I think that is the crux of the matter. I would love to come in here, and if I have to do anything again, I'd like to begin as a radio announcer again. I started as a studio manager, actually. Yojo and I got in 73 on the same day. Basically, I think we got in either a day of each other or the same day. And yeah, we were just fired up. So every time we went overboard, the state controller then, that's Baba Ishala Folorusho, would come in, hey, enough of the yaya music. So we were playing disco music. And Radio Nigeria was like almost 100% indigenous music. So you needed to play Apala music, you needed to play Sakara, which one of my friends at that time would call Rakumi music, because it was, whereas it's classical. All we need to do is tidy things up a little bit and make sure it's authentic. Now, do you hear anybody play Sakara music? I think that is gone. Fuji music has swallowed it. Out of, there are so many things here in Nigeria that we are all very proud and happy to be a part of. The only problem for now is that we have our own challenges trying to grow as a nation, as a country, and some of the forces trying to pull things apart appear to be gaining some strength. What we need to do is to find a way to play down those differences and work together, because we are stronger because we have the.
All right. You've spoken so much about that environment, And we can't end this discussion without talking about the media, election coverage, the US election 2020, and the way the media has handled that. CNN on one side with ABC and the NBCs of this world, Fox TV and the other conservative media on the other side. And somehow it's really not alien, but in this part of the world, it is really not done that way. And we're supposed to be learning from that environment. The way it is, the conservative and the other side are really taking side, and it's so obvious. It's so obvious. You want to share that experience with us? Maybe we can draw some lessons from this. Is it possible to have such here without being labeled as anti-government, undermining national security and all of that?
In the US, the only station that broadcasts in the US that is owned by the government is the C-SPAN. C-SPAN is the driest medium that you can have in any environment. They just go and plant the camera. Is a TV. They also have the audio feed. So you just plant the camera somewhere and people are debating all day, all night in the National Assembly. Let me quickly bring it back. In the US, the system is different from Nigeria. In the US, like you rightly observed, it's divided along ideological lines. So you have some stations which are considered to be liberal. That is, people. Well, the liberals basically are those who went to university and got liberal education and have a different point of view, a different perspective to everybody. Then you have the conservatives. So you have more radio stations, especially in the AM band, most of the time, that have affiliation with the conservative base. Then you now had their TV station is Fox News, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is he actually a British citizen or is just British American? Because you cannot run a station in America if you're not. Okay, the Nigerian setup, radio came in 1932. The Nigerian setup began as a kind of repeater station for whatever was done in England, because they didn't trust the local community to run a local station without diverting from the agenda of the British. So they set up a kind of repeater station, radio distribution service, RDS, which is called the television service in Nigeria. And then if you look at the history of radio, the history of broadcasting in Nigeria, it's basically just like the history of Nigeria itself. So if you look at the way things are monitored and regulated here, it's a lot different. How was it done in the US? It's a lot different. It started out as something initiative that started with the people. The people started, the person, Marconi, did his experiments and was able to transmit sound from Abule Egba to Otaonda Bridge. That was how radio started, something like that. So from there, now developed. So the time they now had government coming was when everybody was crossing over each other, disturbing each other, and then they needed to now have district frequencies for different stations and limit the power of transmission and all of that. Within the Nigerian environment, it has always been government from day one up till now, basically, apart from the Radio Nigeria system, which is essentially government platform disseminate government until recently anyway, when they were now forced to go and make ends meet, where they now had to now think outside the box and stop being the kind of platform that the government designed, which is just to put out government notices, whatever their stuff. You understand? So eventually,
Hello?
we might be able to get there in Nigeria. People system, they want to also sound, like the American talking heads. They are not aware, perhaps, of the cultural environment of radio and TV in the US. The 2020 election gave us a little bit of opening to look at what is actually going on. So you see people directly attacking the president, and you see the president talking to reporters. You're a fool. You're foolish. Yeah, you're a very bad. You're a very bad reporter, and stuff like that. It's the American culture where nobody is a chief. There is no chief in America. The president is not a king. But in Nigeria, our culture respects age, respects experience, and respects power. So it's a lot, is the opposite ends of the, and so any attempt by any radio or TV station to strike that line, get out of line, very easy, because then the tendency to overdo things becomes so easy. Because you do it one time and nobody says anything, you think it's the right thing, you do it again, and you are hoping that you'll be able to fight it politically. So when they give you some form of sanction, you now try to use the political angle. They're trying to muzzle the press. In the US, the president was talking, and the TV station felt that the man was lying. They're making claims without backing it up, and they stop. Can anybody do that in Nigeria? You can't. It becomes sabotage. They say, whoa, he must belong to this. They will now label a TV or radio station. That do you know that they cut off? They're trying to topple the government, stuff like that. But the elections are run by state government. So INEC Ogun State is different from INEC Ondo State. It's different from INEC Oyo State. INEC Cross River, INEC Rivers, they are all different. And there's a law that guides how the votes are recognized and are tallied. Lagos State, because of its importance, has 10 votes. Zamfara State, because of its remoteness, has 2 votes. But everything also, by the time you really dig, you find out it dates back to the days of slavery, where a black man is considered to be only 3/5 of a human being, and they're not supposed to vote. So they can't vote. Or when they finally gave them the right to vote, so it will take, if one person is 3/5 of a human being, so it will have to take enough of the 3/5 to make one, and so on. So that was what led to the Electoral College, which they're using. It's a relic of slavery. But within Nigeria, we just use the popular vote. And we have a federal INEC, a Federal Electoral Commission, which is INEC. And that one is now supposed to coordinate what is happening in Ogun State. There's going to be election in Zamfara State, INEC. If it's going to be Borno, INEC. But if it is the American setup, if there's going to be a by-election in Borno State, it is Borno INEC which doesn't have anything to do with Ogun State INEC, that will, based on the rules set by its own House of Assembly, its own lawmakers, on how what is going to happen now is that those votes that have now been counted and the electoral votes that have been tallied, they are just numbers now. They don't mean anything. When they will mean something is on December 14. Before then, each state will now give their mandate to their own voters, their representatives. Go there and vote for Ambrose. When you get there, vote for anybody you like. That is when the tallies will now be real. And then we will now have a formal declaration. It will be certified by each state. This is what we conducted. There's a federal electoral body, but its job is not to interfere in any of the states. The states own the process. That is why you see that it's the Attorney General of each state that comes forward to say something about their votes. So when you now boil that down into broadcasting and coverage, you see, it makes it more difficult here in Nigeria. Because what we are now seeing in Nigeria, because people have allowed the kind of freedoms they now enjoy to interfere with their professional understanding of things, people are inserting themselves into situations. You send a reporter to go and cover protest, only to now hear that the reporter has been taken up by the police. So how did that happen? Did he get there, or did she get there and started to say Aluta continua and so on? He sat somewhere and was gathering his information so as to report back to the station. The systems are different. We will not be able to get to that place for now where we can talk of conservative radio, liberal radio. Right now, when stations do whatever they do, people come around and say, oh, it's this party's radio station, or is that party's radio or TV station. We have not got to the point yet. Maybe in another century, maybe.
All right, we've done over an hour. I thought this was just going to be about 30 minutes there, about what we've done over an hour. And I know that you were busy doing something before I took you off to come and do this. And Tokes too. Tokes is under lockdown. The UK is under lockdown, and you're at home. So, but it's been nice having Tokes on, and a couple of other colleagues who joined in the course of this interaction. Finally, now that you've been back, you're on a number of radio stations on the RIPA network. What should we expect from the Grandmaster going forward as we begin to round off?
There are a few things I am trying to dream up. There are a few things I'm trying to imagine. Let's just hope that dreams can become reality, and soon enough it shall be known. For now, I just want to believe that there's still a lot of gap in the media environment in Nigeria. There are still a lot of things to do. There should be a way to run broadcasting such that it doesn't feel like you just slotting CDs and micro SD cards into players and just reeling out music. There should be a difference between a music store and a broadcast station. Content. I think that's what Tokes was talking about the other time, most of the stations, I don't know, maybe because they blew out suddenly and have this huge count, population of radio stations. People did not have enough time to prepare properly to populate their airspace with quality programming, something that will remain memorable, just like we spoke about the music. I think that's also part of it, a reflection of the times. Now, do. So it doesn't matter whether it's good quality or it isn't. So in a way, I think what is going to happen going forward is that there will be specialization. People will now try to do niche broadcasting and then key into certain aspects of the people's cultural environment in a way that will reflect the way of life of the people. Hopefully, that will now provide further opportunities to expand and create more value in the broadcast system in Nigeria. I'm looking forward to being part of that, and I hope that it can still be achieved very soon. So I look forward to trying to create other avenues within the broadcast environment.
All right. I must say a big thank you to you, sir, for what you have done and for what you are still doing. I recall my first day in OGBC. You sent us for an audition at the studio on Naitoro Road, and you came in, you listened, and you said, I think you have some potential. And you gave us that opportunity. And from that moment, I recall one day you came into the studio, way back OGBC 2, at the inception of OGBC 2, and I was on. And you came in and removed the microphone and said, Ogbeni, you are not in an army barrack. Stop shouting. Stop. You are not on the parade ground. And then that microphone didn't return until maybe an hour later.
I beg.
And that experience, that was an experience that I still recall every time when I talk to people and I try to teach them. And you also took us on that journey. There's no way we write the history of private broadcasting in Nigeria without a chapter or two dedicated to you and your journey. And there's no way they will conclude that, maybe last paragraph, without mentioning my own name and the name of some other people that charted that course with you. So for all times, for what you have done, for what you're still doing, we, on behalf of Tooks and all of us, I want to say thank you, sir. Thank you, and thank you. And thank you for coming on and allowing us to have this chat in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir.
I am so honored to be with you. I appreciate it. When was the last time I saw Tooks? Boyega, Tulu, OG, and hearing from Tony in the UK. It's a wonderful experience for me. I really appreciate the invitation. I enjoyed every moment. It allowed me to again take a look at things, and again, it is a wonderful experience for me, and I want to thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I must say I'm sorry I didn't take the microphone. It was an accident. But thank you very much. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you very much, Tooks. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Very soon, we'll have our gist very soon.
Oh, definitely. I look forward to. I also have something to say about Ambrose too, Mr. Kishola. I will never forget. I think sometime '93, Ambrose was just like had to rush from Lagos and rushed back to the studios in Abeokuta and said something like, "Oh yeah, I just went to see some of my, I think some of the advertisers on your program, the Mabobo." Then I was just like, "How did this guy go to Lagos and then just rush back and he's going to have his program very soon?" And that was how I got very close to him then. I think it was 92, 93. I can't really remember, but I'm sure he wouldn't remember. But Ambrose was very humble, one of the most humble human beings I've ever seen in broadcasting. And I still hear that in his voice when he's on radio. And I'm sure he picked that from people like you, Mr. Kishala. And I want to say thank you so much. And for all the younger people coming behind us, I think they should just learn from this. Because if I still remember all the good times with Ambrose and Sheisho Emekun and other people then they should ask themselves, what would people say about us 20 years from now? That's what young broadcasters should be thinking of, not like they want to be popular on radio for nothing. So thank you very much, Ambrose and Mr. Kishola. I want to say thank you so much for all the things you've always like put inside of us, especially the experience of like, if the snake should enter the studio, keep reading the news.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We also had the privilege of working with some of the greats, like I mentioned, Baba Shala Folorosho is a goal. Yeah. My aunt, Mrs. Bisi Kasumo, she was the head of presentation. Susan Beckley was head of studio managers at the time. Had entire deal with me, Mr. Soji Bokno, Mr. Bokno, Soji Bokno. You have Baba Disabalogun. All of those people. Then you have Wale Falope. Wale Falope was the producer of Starship program for Radio Nigeria Ibadan, presenting the Western State, where we did a kind of public enlightenment program. So all of these people taught us a lot of things. And some of those we learned not the easy way, but in a very dedicated, in a very powerful way. We learned to discipline ourselves, to be able to behave ourselves when we got on air. We didn't become flippant and just say things just anyhow. Yeah. So I want to thank you very much. Some people you try to pass things down to, and some people may not accept whatever you're trying to hand over, but you accepted, and I feel humbled, and I feel very happy that I can look up to the likes of you, Talks.
Thank you, sir.
And some of the others, too many to. Jire is the woman in charge now at AIT, and that's Lagos, right? So,
yeah.
So I want to thank all of you, and I appreciate every time I look back and I see you, I feel gratified that our paths crossed, and we have left some enduring memories of those times. So I want to thank you again. I appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. This is running on my Facebook page and on my YouTube page, Ambrose Shomide. You can still go there and see that. And Wega Show today will be putting this audio on smilesradio.com much later. So I should say a big thank you to Wega Show today too. We'll just again some other time. For now, thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much, Talks.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.